All right. It's my pleasure to welcome you today to looking at the challenges, collaborations, and circularity. I am here to introduce Tricia Carey, who has organized a group including Karla, who is an FIT alum from FBM, Lucia and Andrea, to talk about how this is really impacting the industry and the impacts that are being worked on in this space. So without any further ado, I'm going to pass it to Tricia and allow her to start and talk about the work that they're doing.
Great, thank you, Karen. We really appreciate this opportunity to present today. My name is Tricia Carey. I am actually class of 1993 from Fashion Buying and Merchandising. And while at FIT, I did take the Textiles 101 class and fell in love with textiles. And since then, I've been involved in textile and fiber world. Right now, I work at Lenzing Fibers. I'm Director of Global Business Development. I focus a lot on the denim industry. And what Lenzing Fibers does, we make man-made cellulosic fibers from trees. And our brand name is Tencel. You might know of us more as Tencel, Lyocell, and Tencel Model. Those are our fibers. In the presentation today, we'll dive a little deeper in how we're working with the industry in order to make progress around circularity. Next, I will pass it over to Karla to introduce herself.
Thank you, Tricia. So I am Karla Magruder. I'm the founder and president of Accelerating Circularity and an alumni, which I won't even go back as far as I'm an alumni, the year, because it was so long ago. And it was also for FBM. And like Tricia, one of my favorite classes was Textiles 101. And so that led me into doing this very similar things to Tricia. I spent my life in fibers and materials. I founded Accelerating Circularity really just over a year ago. Prior to that, I had my own textile consulting company for 18 years, and I have worked throughout the textile supply chain. So it's been a good run. And I'll pass it on to Lucia.
Thank you, Karla. Thank you for inviting me to this seminar. I'm Lucia Rosin. I'm from northeast of Italy. I am the designer, head designer of Meidea. That is a creative company. And that's we start our project in 2004. And since the foundation of Meidea, we are working sustainability. So thanks to my colleague today, we create a special project that we enjoy to present today. We work mainly in textile. Of course, we work also in creating brand and also for the accessory and laundry. So we create a kind of slogan for our work in the last year is traceability of creativity, because we also collaborate with university worldwide to help the student and the wear designer to grow up their knowledge in a more deeply way for sustainability and to have challenges in circularity. I give the word to Andrea.
Thanks a lot. Thanks, everybody. Thanks, Karla, for this invitation. I'm Andrea Venier. I'm the managing director of Officina Plus 39. Also, we are based in Italy. We are a chemical and dye company. Mainly what we're doing, we are developing and offering to the markets technologies for the fashion industry. And during last years, we are trying our best to offer better technologies, better in terms of sustainability with less impact. Here we are in a city called Biella. In this city, there is a very important foundation called Pistoletto, Città dell'Arte. This foundation is for us an inspirational model. Michelangelo Pistoletto is one of the most famous living artists, and really with his hearts and the philosophy is helping us to find a new path, a new way to think for our future, for our fashion industry. So thanks again, and let's start with the introduction of our experiences.
Great. So I'm going to talk a little bit more in depth now about accelerating circularity and to set the stage a little bit about what the industry is doing and why accelerating circularity exists, and projects like what Tricia and Andrea and Lucia are working on. So accelerating circularity, our mission actually is to divert textiles from landfill. We are, if we could move the slides forwards, so our goal is to divert textiles from landfill. Today, in the United States, there's about 17 million tons of textile waste that goes into landfill annually, landfill and incineration. And so we really believe that we need to do something to solve this problem. So at Accelerating Circularity, we tell people we're going to find out what is in all of that waste. What does the map look like of what happens? How can we create the links that will allow us to develop circular supply chains? So to do that, we're going to focus specifically on chemical and mechanical recycling for polyester, cotton, and cellulosics. Those materials all are encompass about 80% of the entire textile supply chain. So when we look at the textile supply chain, we created this map here that gives you the ability to look at it pretty clearly. The existing supply chain today, from fiber companies like Lenzing to yarn spinners, textile mills, garment manufacturers, brands, and retailers, that textile supply chain, all of those segments are collected. But the things that we need to create circularity aren't connected. So we need to find ways to collect materials, sort them into the fractions that we need, have them shredded and right-sized so that they can go into both chemical and mechanical recycling. There are all sorts of materials. They need to come from both post-consumer, but also post-industrial end uses. Post-industrial right now are the leftovers from the processes such as fiber manufacturing, spinning, textile mills, and garment manufacturing. There are also some unsold garments, and those materials also need to come back into the supply chain for us to really make circularity happen. So for us, we've got this problem of this textile waste. We have these goals of trying to connect the supply chain. And if you move on, we believe that to do this, you really need to bring the industry together. So we've been sponsored, and we like to thank our partners by the Walmart Foundation. All these people believe in the need to move to circularity. Target, Gap, and VF Corp, they've all sponsored this project. And the way that Accelerating Circularity is working is a little different than other organizations. We have a working group meeting that meets on a monthly basis. There's about 10 of us. And what is involved in this group of 10 people is a pretty good representation of the supply chain. And what has to happen for us to be able to be circular, as you could see from that one slide with a circle on it, is we need everyone to participate. So in our founding partners, we have a working group, and these people we meet on a monthly basis. And we are able to have conversations that can talk about what the needs are at different levels of the supply chain and for different end uses. So for instance, Lenzing has a product called Refibra, which is a chemically recycled cellulosic material. We also work with Unified that does mechanical recycling of polyester. We work with Geotex that does mechanical recycling of cellulosics. And then Green, who is an innovator and working on the development of chemical recycling for polyester. It's very important that you bring together as many elements of the supply chain as that you can, along with the brands and retailers who need to create the demand and the products that will use these materials. And really, every initiative in circularity needs to include as many people as possible. So while we have a small group of people that will meet on a monthly basis, we also collaborate with several organizations. And these organizations each have a different specific skill sets and information and things that they can share with us. For instance, the SMART organization is a secondhand recycler of materials organization, and they can talk to us about what is already happening in the recycling of post-consumer textiles. There are people like the United States Fashion Industry Association that works quite a bit on policy. You know, we're talking about circularity, and I think that most people think of that in terms of getting the materials through the system, but certainly how policy like our duty rates and whether or not the government is involved in requiring that textiles are collected at the municipal level. Those are the kinds of things that need to be addressed. So we work with all of these different organizations to help support the move towards circularity. It's really important. And I think that you're going to see in the next presentation how important collaboration is, and the fact that collaboration is really what allows us to make progress. Tricia, I'll transfer it over back to you. Tricia, you're on mute.
Thank you. So I'll repeat that. As we look at the apparel industry, it's a $2.4 trillion industry. The impacts that we have around many environmental impacts, whether it's water, chemical, climate, and what we're doing is really focusing on the waste aspect. And as Karla had mentioned, it's where do we need to connect for collective action? And we have to also start to think differently about the materials, the inputs, how we're designing into circularity, and also kind of break some of the barriers that we only look at the supply chain of who is supplying me and who am I supplying to, because we in effect become a supply network that together we have to keep the circle going. Right now is an incredible time in our industry in order to have a reset and really address the 50 million tons of textile and apparel waste that we have globally. In the United States alone, it's 17 million tons of waste. And what we've done at our collective collaboration with Act Together, the Circle book, is that we've looked at ways that we can support and give ideas to the design community and our partners in how we can develop and support them with new ideas in order to produce a garment that it has less impact and brings more circularity. So I will pass off now to Andrea to talk a little bit more about how we came together in the Act Together Circle book.
Thank you very much, Tricia. The project was born during the peak of COVID-19 here in Italy as well in Europe. So it really has been an incredible experience for the very specific time that we developed this project. The project really born initially as an idea after a discussion that we had with Tricia and Lucia, mainly to create something, a collaboration for the circular economy. Act Together means this at the end, work together, sharing ideas and vision. But COVID-19 gave us a different point of view in this project. And of course, I think all of us, we are aware that fashion must change much more than in the past. And we strongly believe in the COVID-19 has accelerated the reflection in progress. And also we can say nowadays, after some months that we are facing this virus, that it represents the biggest crisis, but also biggest challenge that we have in our fashion industry. So really, the book that we developed, the cycle book that you can see, and Lucia will introduce more the concept, the creative parts, and also the idea of the logo. This really has been mainly, at the end, a good experience for us, a new experience for us, and we decided to share this experience because what we realized that at the end we working in completely different way compared to the past. We found a new way, we trace a new way of designing a more sustainable fashion. This is what happened during the cycle book. And how we did this, and what is the big innovation that we realized during the development of the cycle book of this project. Really, what we realized as we had less possibility to go out from our houses due to the lockdown, and also in the next weeks when we were able to start to go sometimes to our offices, to our companies. Anyway, we realized that we didn't have too much time to complete the project. But at the end, we had one very clear aim, scope that was to create something incredible in terms of creativity and in the proposal, thinking on sustainability. So at the end, what we did, I think we used and we found a new balance between the use of digital technologies and the physical development. So what you will realize that we really reduce incredible the waste that usually the industry is creating during the developments of collection, doing just enough, so doing just what is really necessary to develop the collection. So really, this has been developed, inspired us, and of course, Refibra from one side, from Lenzing part, and Resichrome, that is the technology that we will talk later, from our side, has been a good ambassador of this project, as really they are the best ambassador, in our opinion, for the circular economy. So I will pass now the line to Lucia, so she can introduce you more about the book.
Thank you, Andrea. I don't know if you can see me or just hear my voice. It's okay?
We can hear you, we can't see you though.
Okay, okay, I can talk anyhow. So it's my pleasure to be here, and I explain what we are doing with this the Circle book. First of all, as Andrea explained, we start thinking to create something physical, but when happened that lockdown come, we decide to move to a different way to present the collection. So the digital plus physical combined together in the phygital form. So first of all, we went and visit, before the lockdown, we visit the company, Officina plus 39 with the whole Meidea team, and then we can have some picture later that show our experience there. And we discuss the best way to use our partner fabric and the from Resichrome, from Refibra, and from all the partner of mills in the worldwide. So after we select all the fabric, we decide to do some trial. During this time, after we were closing our home, we realized with this old fabric, we start with the leg tube. We realized that one of the most important things is to use the leg tube, not full garment, as something interesting. Normally is waste. So all the trial that you create, why you create the process when you are creating the collection, you do a lot of trial on fabric, you do a lot of trial on color, you do a lot of trial on garment. So what we have done, we combine this leg tube, this trial of fabric and color with our digital outfit design. And maybe if you go next slide. Here is, for example, the group that created, one of the first group that we created. We created 4 groups in this collection. We don't want to create something related to any season because we think that give long lasting, more long life to the garment means also create less waste. That's why we don't create a fall, winter or spring, summer, but just garment that you can use for all your life, especially this tailored comfort group is especially dedicated because during the lockdown, we all like to wear more in a comfort way, in a cozy way. That's why, you know, Refibra and this beautiful color from Resicron, very cozy and comfort color shades, create this very comfort look and comfy. And during these days, during that, you know, the weeks that we develop, we also realize that combining all the detail of the fabric and all the detail of color expressed, then when you are going to download the book, you can see more in detail. What is important for us is to give a message that starting from the beginning, starting from the fiber, starting from all the fabric and the color and realization of the outfit, we want to give also to the designer, to the school, to university, the different way to realize collections. So aware designer, the next aware designer will take more care about to have a caring society. So we want to take care of all the parts. And also the garment that you'll see in this circle book are able to enter again in the circle. If you go to the next slide, Tricia. You can see what we have done. First of all, we pick some of the beautiful color from Resicron. This is very interesting technique. It's a recycle, then Andrea will explain later. And then we bring all this inspiration starting from is created by hand, and then we digitalize. And then the next picture, the next slide, please. Here you can see the selection of the color, how the color is discharging, how we went to make inspiration all together. That's why we call Act Together, as you see from our slogan. It's something that is the collaboration is the aim. The collaboration is the future for make more clean fashion business. And in the last slide, you can see what we have done, collaborating together, pick some color, pick some elements. So all is coming from a collaboration. We think this is the only way for future to have a very more clean business and fashion in our nowadays. So at the end, my experience, our experience was very positive. And we really suggest that we create a kind of path. We create for the designer, for the mill, for the brands that we presented this project, we create a different perception, a different way to create a collection, combining, as I said before, digital and physical together. So now I pass the word to Andrea and Tricia to explain more deeper about Resicron and Refibra. Can you hear me?
Yeah. Andrea, you need to.
Thanks, Lucia. And let me just introduce you, give you some more information about Resicron. Resicron is a revolutionary sustainable dye stuff range. We like it to call revolutionary. And let's say also at the beginning it was a crazy idea because the idea was to transform upcycling through an upcycling the textile waste coming from the consumer, so post-consumer or post-industrial, the raw material, the waste coming from cellulosic fibers into a very small powder, using that powder as a dye stuff. So the technology practically that we patented permits us to transform any cellulosic fibers into a very small powder. So we are not extracting any color from the original fabrics or from the waste, but just we are transforming those into a very small powders, and this is what we patented. And then we are using that powder to replace the conventional dye stuffs. Really, this required a lot of investment in terms of human resources and also, of course, in terms of investment, real investment for the company, but and also time. We worked for more than 1 year. But I think the technology really, and the new technology for the fashion industry is the only way to have a better future for our world, for the fashion world. And this technology helps for sure to bring to the market a better way to dyeing, and using recycled material that at the end, we strongly believe the textile, the waste in general is our, should become much more possible our raw materials in the future. So at the end, the raw material that we are more available in this world is waste, because we are producing a lot of waste every day. And so to do that, of course, need a lot of effort. Mainly, as I told you at the beginning, you have to, as we are talking, in a very particular, with a very particular audience. At the beginning, you have to have a little bit of madness, for sure. You have to, your imagination must have no limits to develop new products, new technology. And so we are really proud to participate to this project with Lenzing and Meidea, with Tricia and Lucia, because at the end, what we are feeling when you are working in a project like that, that with these new technologies like Refibra, like Resicron, with the creativity of Lucia, really, in some way, we can redesign the world around you. And this is something that is giving you a lot of confidence. And I think also is a good message that we are sending to the young and the future designer. So really, we are proud also to be able to share with you this experience. Tricia, please.
Great, thank you, Andrea. Yes, it's wonderful to work together, and I think this is what makes our industry so special, is that we can connect in order to develop an amazing product and bring these concepts together. For Lenzing, as I mentioned in the beginning, we make fiber only. We primarily use wood as our resource for fiber. And 3.5 years ago, we launched new technology, which we call Refibra, where we can take cotton scraps and they can be colored, but we need to have them as cellulose, 100% cellulose, in order to make them into pulp. So this is our way of upcycling cotton waste. And what we do then is mix the cotton pulp with wood pulp. And you can see that here where we are mixing the two pulps together. And then we add a solvent. They become more of a consistency like a honey. And in that solvent, we can add fiber identification, because another very important element right now in our industry is around transparency. We add to that solvent then the fiber identification, and it goes through a closed loop manufacturing process. So we even bring circularity into how we manufacture our fiber. That solvent is reused at a rate of over 99.5%. And then in the end, we produce a fiber that is still strong, soft, and even more sustainable than our tensile lyocell fiber. The fiber then we sell to yarn spinners, that's our direct customers, but we have to promote it throughout the entire network of suppliers in order to show the benefits of how our fiber can be used. And that's really how we came together in working with Officina and Andrea and his team, and then collaborated also with Lucia to bring these ideas to life, because only making fiber doesn't get us anywhere. We need to work with partners. Right now with Refibra, we blend 30% waste with 70% wood pulp in order to make our new fiber. And within the industry, there's initiatives to increase circularity, especially within the raw material suppliers. Lenzing has committed to being at 50% post-consumer waste by 2024. So this means we need to work with the industry in order to achieve that goal and to have less waste going into landfills. This technology, I think, is very important for you as up-and-coming designers and within the textile industry, so you understand some of the challenges that we are currently facing, And we are always open to working with people who have wonderful new ideas in order to forge forward. So that is a little bit about Refibra. And if you'd like more information about Refibra, you can go onto tencel.com, and you can also check out some of the stories that we have on our blog, which is called Carved in Blue. So carvedinblue.com, or any of the social media, Instagram, Facebook, or LinkedIn. And that's our summary on the Circle book and how we joined together during this pandemic time to come up with new ideas to forge the industry in circularity. Great. I guess from here, Karen, we can open for questions.
That's great. Thank you so much. Tricia, do you want to stop sharing your screen so everybody can see us again? Beautiful. Well, first of all, I want to thank all of you. It was so great to hear how you were collaborating and how you took this kind of moment in time to really think about how we could do more and really reduce the impact of different portions of the fashion industry. So I was really excited to hear that. I was especially excited to hear how you were collaborating and really thinking about these things, not just as a fiber developer or as a designer, but really in a collaborative nature. So I think while you're all here, is there any more you'd like to say about that collaboration and how that has really fueled the work you're doing in your individual spaces?
Well, I can add, I think the collaboration, it's important. There's companies and there's people, and so we collaborate as individuals. And it's the companies that give us the power to do that. But it's connecting, and whether you're a student and entering the industry, or if you're someone who's been in the industry for a while, you find that there's like-minded people, and that's who you want to work with in order to drive this impact. And you know, I think over the past several years, when we saw more interest around circularity, and when Lenzing came out with Refibra, I had in my mind that everybody was going to love this fiber, and you know, and there would be no questions at all. And actually, it was really quite the opposite, because we found that we had to educate the market around circularity, and then we had to look at where we could have these collaborations, and then what kind of commitments are retailers and brands making. And it was more than just coming up with the product and the technology behind it, but it really is bringing it all the way to market, and how do we communicate it to the end consumer.
Excellent, thank you. Does anybody else want to add to that?
Sure, I'll add to that. One of the things that we've learned at Accelerating Circularity is that circularity can't help unless there are collaborations, because you have to connect all of the pieces, as Tricia had said. So to really make things happen, no one company can go and make circularity happen. Because if we're looking at, for instance, what's in post-consumer waste or even post-industrial waste, there are going to be different streams for that material. Some of it can go into Refibra, some of it's not going to be able to go into Refibra. And so we need to have all of those outlets for all of these processes. And everyone at every stage, including the consumer, which is new, need to participate. So collaboration, which we're seeing, I think, here, is something that people have been talking about for a long time. And I think now we're seeing how really critical it is for our path to move forward.
Yeah, can I say something also about that? From a design point of view, after we start a collaboration, but generally happen for any kind of collaboration, but this was much more deeply because happened during a very particular time, that is our pandemic. But the level that you reach while you're working together, not only as, you know, as Tricia saying, not only as a company, but also as a human, you can have much more power when you work together. You can have much more open-minded, and you can accept also another and different point of view and enlarge your experience. This is very important when you are a designer, because you need to bring a lot of inspiration from the world that is around of you. So it's very important, collaborate, be open-minded, and insist in creating this kind of experience while you're working, because in only, as Karla say, only by collaborating, we are able to create a real circularity. Otherwise, if we stay in our own project, we will never have the chance to bring other point of view and other, let's say, very interesting point.
So I agree with all of you, and I think the big challenge that we have when we are talking about circular economy is to build trust around the circular economy, because it's very difficult to create the system that is in the behind of the circular economy. This is what we have to improve, not only us as a companies, as the supply chain, but in general also is something that should involve the governments and all the related organizations. So the huge effort should come in the next months and years to create a proper system. But I think at the end, what is even important is to build trust. And only one company, if also is developing a good technology, for only one company, it's difficult to create all what we are saying right now, no? So all the ingredients. So I think that also collaboration is helping also a lot to create a proper trust around the circular economy, because at the end, the companies and people that are working in a collaborative way and around one project like this have to share information, be transparent, and I think this is the base, the ingredients, the base of the circular economy.
I just want to add, I had this on my jacket today. It's sustainable. And this is Andrea's word, which he was mentioning. So it's the trust and sustainability and bringing that together. So hashtag sustainable. Right, Andrea?
Thank you very much, Tricia. Yes, internally we like to call in this way trustable, because we strongly believe that the word sustainability has been abused really during last years. And trust is a much more important ingredient in what we are doing every day. Building trust.
I think that's an important component in this. So I'm so excited to have heard from all of you today. And at this point, we're actually going to open it up to questions from our audience. So again, please join me before we do that in thanking our panelists today. It was so exciting to hear from so many different perspectives. And for me as a scientist, to hear the collaboration between science, design, and business, it really just gives me hope, and it's so exciting. So again, thank you so much.
Thank you, Karen.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.